Hello, hello. I know this is abrupt, but please let me know if you cannot hear. I am trying something new in a different browser. I checked back on that Lizzo video and I heard and I couldn't hear the recordings. And so I had to change the way I was presenting. And I hope what I've done thus far has worked. So if you can't hear, please let me know. I'm going to give it another minute to allow people to come in, and then I'm going to present what I have here today. This Carlisha hood situation, I'm happy the charges were dropped, but after this situation, I'm absolutely done advocating for any black male in which I don't know, or I don't see any. I'm done advocating for any black man I don't know, or advocating for a black man in which I don't have a good understanding of whether or not they've been influential in doing something for the black community. This YouTuber who goes by ABL, Anthony Brian Logan, he has a serious disdain for black women. And it's almost, thank you for letting me know all my life I had to fight. Thank I can't believe someone like him would be this um well angry and vindictive towards black women. I understand that the niche to be a black conservative agreeing with the talking points of white people is it makes the money. Most of these conservative black people who niche is to go against the black community, they have a lot of subscribers. They get a lot of backing. And I understand that it's lucrative, but his streams on Carlisha Hood and her son have been so repulsive that I don't think that anything can be done to fix the issues in the black community amongst black men and women, because there are a lot of black men who are supporting this individual. In his live stream, and I'm going to show you, he basically said that the young man should have not been in it. He should have left that between him and his mother. The man was beating his mother, like seriously beating her like she was a man. And your recommendation in that situation is to leave the son out of it. And she should have handled that on her own, because if she was in her right mind, she wouldn't have talked to him anyway. He told her to get the food. I didn't even see the food get served to them. It looked like they were all standing around still waiting to either be served or to get their food. So after all of the information, and I'm going to show you his videos, I'm just at the conclusion that there needs to be a serious group of black women who get on the same wavelength and come out to basically say we are being beaten and battered by black men, and that we have to now go against their influence, because this is what black men have done. They have built their influence off of beating down and tearing down black women. And black women don't see that as a system in which black men benefit from, but they benefit, excuse me, they benefit very well from influencing the outside community to dislike us. And now I think black women are starting to catch on to that. Like, wait a minute, the reason why we're so hated is because black men are leading the torch on this. But how many of you remember a couple of weeks ago when CBS 2 Chicago did that article or that story on black women in Chicago who are the number one targets? And for those who don't remember, I'm going to share that story. Remember, black women were the ones hit the hardest.
What are your chances? We're not just talking about one or two robberies here. We're talking dozens of them. Who's really the most at risk? Is it white men, white women, Asians, Hispanics, black men? No, it's not. It's women who look like Tonia Thomas.
It's scary.
According to Chicago Police crime data for 2022, when you look at all the offenses, count all the victims, Black women are the most at risk.
It's honestly, it's not fair.
Unfair because that 67,000 means 25% of crime victims are Black women. But they make up only 16% of Chicago's population. And when the CBS 2 investigators kept digging, we discovered even more disturbing data. Black women represented more than a third of kidnappings, 35% of assaults, 38% of batteries attacked and injured, 40% of rape victims. And let this sink in. Black women are 52% of human trafficking victims. Remember, they're only 16% of the population.
To have to...
Not just because she treats...
I hope you guys heard that.
Knock, knock.
But
Hi
we make
there.
up...
I'd love to show you what a K-12 powered school is really like. Step inside. Here you can dive into subjects you like.
So, where... So Black women were hit the hardest. I hope, were you guys able to see that? I hope you guys were. Like I said, I'm trying out something with a different browser because I saw in my last video, I was showing videos and you couldn't hear the audio. So this situation happened in Chicago. Chicago is the location of where Black women make up what they said we make up 16% of the population, but in most cases outside of human trafficking, when we make up over 50%, we are typically almost a quarter or a little over a quarter of the biggest of the targets. So Chicago is not an area in which Black women particularly should take anything less than serious. So I understood why that woman had that gun, because this 32 Chicago ran this video, a couple weeks ago. And for the most part, it was the talk amongst most Black YouTubers. And this was something that we put out to our audience to let them know, you have to be careful, right? You have to be careful in these areas and you need to get your gun. You need to get your permit, right? This was something that we talked about. These were the talking points of multiple YouTubers. And so to have this situation between Carlisha Hood and this Black man unfold in the same city as where this news story ran, it was beyond interesting, and it only provided a backup as to it provided an example of why Black women in Chicago are being beaten and brutalized and no one is taking it serious. But it also showed this is why Black women should have a gun. So after we all know what happened with Carlisha Hood. Now we know the charges have been dropped because that video surfaced. And it should have silenced several of the bullet points about the narrative of her just being a mother who wanted to get her son in a situation that he shouldn't have been in. Did anybody see the mother texting the son in that video? I'm not saying that maybe she didn't text him before, but did you see the mother texting the man, the young boy? Because I didn't see that. I also didn't see a time in which the young man just ran in there and started shooting. If you look at the video, he pauses for a second, almost as if maybe the situation is going to die down before, and I don't have to use it, right? If you look at the video again, she tells him to go to the car, right? Obviously, if you telling the person who at the point, I think at that point he did come in with the gun, but if you tell that person, hey, go back to the car, how is it that you put him up to do with that? Notice that the text messages narrative is no longer a part of the story, because now we don't see where she's texting him. And the family has come out on their Facebook page to say, hey, that narrative is not true. She wasn't texting him. So now that that narrative is gone away, why are people like ABL still running with that? Why is he saying that this lady was an attack dog? Right? I'm happy to see that CPD saw the truth. If they allowed him to get out of that car, he would have upped the straps. Yeah, I'm happy as well. I'm happy that they are free. I'm happy that, for the most part, most of the community, even black men, seem to have been, no, this isn't right. You can't just stand there and brutally beat a woman and then expect nobody to do anything. Even though we saw in the video that they there was an older black man that was right by them who didn't do anything to try to intervene or stop the situation. Nobody, including the workers, did anything. We basically saw that black woman was about to get beaten, bloodied, and bruised if somebody had not stopped. And the reality is this: when I listen to people like ABL, my takeaway from this is he shouldn't have gotten involved. Because she was a woman, a black woman at that, we're seen as having no value. We're seen as you should just be doing what you got to do to get by, right? Because the struggle narrative is what they want on all black women. What they wanted this woman to do was simply to take that beating. That is what I take away from what ABO said, because you shouldn't have been in that restaurant to begin with. Anything that happens to a black woman that results in us getting beaten, bruised, or bullied is our fault. And they don't want to hear anything else. That is very similar to white people when it comes to racism. If you come into their workplaces, if you come into their neighborhoods, if you go into anything that's predominantly white, anything that happens to you is your fault because you should not have been in that place to begin with. Black men have the same mentality as white supremacists, and they are disguising it as, how can I be a white supremacist when I'm black? There was a news story that recently ran that said that black people or minorities have embraced white supremacy ideology. And I think that black men are the biggest group that has done so. But I'm gonna play you guys what ABL said, and then I want you to pick out how he's making this situation about a black mother who chose to sick her attack dog son on a man who maybe didn't deserve to die. No, he said he deserved to die, but he didn't think that the son should have gotten involved whatsoever. Keep in mind, if the son didn't get involved, then what would have happened to this woman? I'm gonna read a few of y'all comments and then play the video. Right, I believe the girlfriend lied to the cops too. Yeah, somebody lied, and because that video contradicted that narrative, the news stories had to edit that information out. They had to edit that information out. In fact, let me show the news story, because they just did the story about the charges being dropped, and then they showed Carlisha and her son getting out of the prison. So let's look at that. Nope, let me go back. StreamYard. Let me present. Nope, that is the wrong story. Stop screen share. And so initially they lied to get the news stories have stopped because they realized that whoever gave them that information, it's not being backed up by what we see. However, black conservatives like Anthony are continuing to run with that narrative because it suits him. But let's look at what this news story said.
We begin with breaking news this afternoon. Prosecutors dropped murder charges against a woman and her son accused in the shooting death of a man during a fight at a fast food restaurant.
The decision comes after video came to light showing the victim punching the woman before the gunfire started. Carlisha Hood walked out of jail a little more than an hour ago, hugging her family in relief. And that is where we find CBS 2's Charlie DeMar. He is live with more on today's emotional court proceedings. Charlie?
And Jim and Marie, we were in court as those charges were dropped. Those charges were dropped after the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said they simply could not meet the burden of proof in both of these cases. As you mentioned, Carlisha Hood walked free from the Cook County Jail, and we're told her 14-year-old son was released earlier today from a juvenile detention facility. Carlisha Hood walked free from the Cook County Jail and shared this emotional hug with family. The reunion comes hours after murder charges against Hood and her 14-year-old son were dropped.
If you say one more thing, I'm gonna knock you out.
The charges stem from the fatal shooting of Jeremy Brown inside the Maxwell Street Express in the West Pullman neighborhood. Video posted to social media shows Hood arguing with Brown inside the restaurant. Prosecutors say that's Brown in the white shirt. Hood then began texting her 14-year-old son, who was waiting outside in the car. Surveillance video shows the teen enter the restaurant and witness Brown hit his mom at least 3 times in the head and face. Prosecutors say that's when the 14-year-old pulled out a gun and shot Brown in the back. Both Hood and her son initially faced murder charges, and she was being held on $3 million bond. Today, those charges were dropped by the Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
You have the right to use deadly force to stop that force against another person. And that's exactly what happened in this case. And that's exactly why the State's Attorney's Office dropped this case today.
Now, Hood declined to comment shortly after she was released from jail, but her family and her attorney tell me they are relieved that she is home this afternoon, that she will be with family. And they also tell me that they feel that justice has finally been served. We are live from the Cook County Jail. I'm Charlie DeMar, CBS 2 News.
So as y'all saw, I hated that the news story used the texting. They did say it once in that video. They were not texting. Why do they keep saying that? They were not texting. We didn't see them in the video. You literally saw in the video what the heck? You literally saw in the video the guy came up. I'm sorry, there was some noise in the background. The guy came up, looked at what was happening. He saw the guy hitting his mother. And then that's when he went into his pocket to get the gun. If we're going to be honest here, and this is what I'm assuming happened. He heard the commotion from outside and walked up with the gun. When he got to the door, he saw them going back and forth. When he saw the man hit his mother, that's when you see that panic come over him. And that's when he go for the gun and get him off and shoot the man. Now they're saying that he charged the man. You got to keep in mind the positioning of them in the restaurant. So he's actually running towards his mother to get her safe and trying to get the man away from her. And so when you look at it from that stance and then have this video that's contradicting the narrative that probably came from that girlfriend, right? Because one of the lies that were out at the time is that the man was flirting with her and she turned him down in front of the girlfriend. Like, who gave that lie? When you take everything into account, the new video, seeing how everything escalated, and then seeing the misinformation that was given at the time that what happened, at the time in which they were providing the details of what happened, you can kind of see and get a clear picture of what happened. And at that point, you have to go, well, can we charge this man? Can we charge this woman and this boy with murder, considering that we see the tape and the fact that we got misinformation, aka lies, from the people who were there? No, you can't do that. You know why? Because most people, I know I would, if I was in that position, I would want someone to save me, my child to come up and save me and do the exact same thing. And that's why they had to drop those charges. And instead of us being happy as a community, instead of law-abiding citizens, because she had the right to conceal and carry, right? Instead of us as the collective being happy about that, you got YouTubers like Anthony Brian that's going on Twitter, also making long videos for his conservative fan base saying that no, this mother was an attack dog, the son is responsible. This is just really disgusting, and the disdain that black men have for black women, because in the video I'm going to show you, he basically says this happens in the black community, where black boys get set up by that black mother, and often, and in his experience, this is how they lose their lives. It was her fault for living in that community. She shouldn't have been at that restaurant to begin with, and everything that happened when you decide to go out your household is on you. You shouldn't involve your kids. At this point, you can't say that she involved her child, right? Because if they weren't texting, then everything that he did at that point was on him. So now the attack dog statement, I honestly feel as though once YouTubers start getting sued more and more for lies and defamation, people will be more mindful of what they say on YouTube, because it's really out of hand. And the fact that black men are using the same white tactics against black women that white people have used against black people as a collective, black men, women, and children, it's really disgusting. But I'm not surprised, given the way that him, Candace Owens, and other black conservatives build a fan base. Their fan base is composed of predominantly white crowds and black men. And when you have a disdain for your community, you don't care what these people have to say. You'll just go by whatever. I'm going to read some of y'all comments, and then I'm going to show you what ABL had to say about the black community. I'm going to scroll up. 98% of y'all in Blackistan are backwards, Walking Dead, weirdos. I knew the charges was going to be dropped because outside Blackistan, nobody worships evil, menosphere, demons, dust. I agree. I knew the details the day it broke out, but when I saw the video, it solidified it for me. He got what he wanted. His grandmother, these super are terrorizing the community, and is going unchecked. I agree. It's going unchecked because black women as a collective, we're committed to the survival of blackness. And we put black men at the forefront of that. But now, because black men have switched sides almost collectively, I would say collectively over 50%, maybe not over 60, but definitely over 50. We look like complete idiots out here taking up for a group of men who do everything to bring us in the black community down. Black men at this point cannot be more transparent about how they feel about the black community, how they feel about black women or black kids. This man basically said she should be under the jail. Mary R. said, it's the South Side. Gang culture is too ingrained into the community not to take any chances because they hate black women. Yep. People saying she should have shut up. If she would have shut up, it wouldn't have made a difference. I say this because he hit her after she told her son to go to the car. Nothing would have mattered. Exactly. She was talking to her son. I don't get how a lot of people miss that part, because if you tell your son to go back to the car, that contradicts the she told him to come in with the gun narrative of the text. That contradicts the narrative of she sicked her son on him. Like, there is just a lot of information. Even though that clip is like 15 seconds, there is a lot of information that came out before that video that contradicts. They contradict each other, because when you look at the video, it's like they were not flirting with each other. She wasn't being aggressive towards him. She told her son to go back to the car. A lot of people don't want to accept that this mother and son did everything right and that black man did everything wrong. They really want to stand up for that dad black man, but I think they realize how bad that would make them look. And because they don't want to wholeheartedly blame the dad black man who was deserving of them bullets, they want to show their disdain and come down on that black woman and say she should be in jail. Basically, she should be in jail for coming outside of her house that night, because she lives in an area in which she knows anything can go down. And because she knows that everything that happens is her fault. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I shouldn't have gone out. I was hungry. I shouldn't be hungry. I'm sorry. K Journey said, people saying she should have shut up. I read that. Mercy me. So now you can't get any good or leave the house. You can't get any good. Nope. So white women walk around more safely in their neighborhoods, but we can't. Exactly. Our neighborhoods have been taken over and corrupted by gang violence. And because we birthed those individuals, which is what I'm getting from people like ABL, it's our fault. Habitual line stepper, that already should a topic of concern. Yep. Free, if a white woman got punched, all the men would have tackled that guy, even if she was wrong. Exactly. That old man looked to be in his 60s, but I bet you if the roles, if that man was a different race and it was the white community, he wouldn't have cared how old he was. He would have gotten in front of her. You don't allow a woman to be viciously attacked and stand idly by. Free facts. Be judged by 12 instead of being buried by 6. Yep, she took that's exactly what happened. And the community ultimately rallied behind her. I believe that's one reason why they were so successful. And if we're going to be really honest, I honestly believe that a lot of white people and non-black people also saw that video and thought, I don't want to be in a situation, or my child be in a situation of where I have to defend myself or my child has to defend me. And it's seen on tape what's happening, and I'm being held accountable for lawlessness, for criminal-minded individuals. That is what I saw from that individual, that Jeremy Brown or whatever his name is. He is somebody who should have never been on the streets, and nobody in their right mind would even push that narrative that, oh, this could have been prevented. You can't prevent criminal activity to the extent of what ABL is pushing, right? I can't stop you as a woman. I can't stop a man from trying to beat and bully me, right, in a restaurant. Only if I have something like a weapon can I use as much equal force, if not more. A gun has more force to combat that. And that is something that black men don't want black women to rise up and do. They first of all don't want us to acknowledge that black men are wrecking a havoc over the black community. And they definitely don't want us telling each other, hey, we need to get licensed to carry because it's not safe out here, especially when we're amongst the man that we give birth to. Female Fatale said they were never on your side. This is not new. They have always been this way. Stop entertaining them and stay strapped or get the entire hell out of the community. You need to do both. I worked in the white community and I was attacked by a white person. So I won't sit here and say that, hey, it'll be, you won't face any type of threats in the white community. You're least likely to face it in the white community. And you'll have more people willing to step up to combat the criminal activity because most people don't want to live in neighborhoods that are unsafe. And unfortunately, because our history is so, because of racism in our history within America, because we've always been painted a certain way, I don't think that black people have fully looked at criminal activity to be just as bad as racism. And once we as a whole start doing that, our communities will get better because you'll have more people saying, hey, this ain't about your blackness. This is about your inability to operate as a community member. And this is what criminal activity has done to our communities. It's made us less trustful of each other. It's made our neighborhoods not safe for women, children, everybody. And ultimately, it has divided us. And sadly, I have to say this, black women are at the forefront when it comes to voting and advocating. And a lot of times we're advocating for things that are against us and our children. We should be pro death penalty. I'm sorry. We need to be pro death penalty. We need to be pro accountability. We need to be pro holding people accountable. And we can no longer take into account of them just simply being black and male. Oh, well, forget about it. We have to fight against it. No, we have to fight for that. If you care about your black children, your black sons, then you have to understand that you have to keep the community clean against criminal activity. And we need to be mindful of that and go up and keep that in mind when we vote. And ultimately, I don't think black women do that because they want the community full of black men. And we need to, address our thinking. But let me get back to these comments. And who was married publicly mourning this woman beater? Black women, his mama, girlfriend, baby mama. Black women are severely trauma bonded to Dusties. Sadly, yes. As black women, as black women need to start suing these evil menosphere dust on YouTube for defamation, just like Cardi B did. I agree. Cardi B did Tasha K. I agree. We do need to start holding these menosphere people accountable. You hit the nail on the coffin. Thank you, black women. Yes. Because she's a single black mother, she's the reason there are no dinosaurs anymore. Pretty much. We don't need to explain her position. This is massage noir, and they know they are wrong. They did not care. They don't care about the safety of black women and children. This is why they advocate against it. And black women have sadly and far too long have done the same thing. And now we need to get black women to understand that you are as equally a woman as you are black. And when you advocate against the police, who ultimately still has to come out and try to, hopefully protect you, you're advocating against your safety, because black men have shown that they are not going to rally around you and protect you. You literally have people like Anton Daniels and other menosphere people saying don't protect black women and children. And if you're going to protect them, only protect the ones that you love. That's not fair, because black women go out and protect black men totally. We don't pick and choose which black man we're going to defend or come out and advocate for. So that's just completely ridiculous. But obviously, there is a disdain, a strong disdain against black women. And we need to talk about it and address it. Exactly. And that's why I never birthed one. This is the black community and ability to hold people accountable for their action. If you lay hands on people, you should expect a response. Black men don't care about black women. I'm happy charges have been dropped against them. That Brian guy got Dusty's in his comments saying black privilege. Yep. They're over there saying black privilege. They're saying, why do people care about Daniel Perry? They are going off on black people. They are calling this black privilege and saying that if it had been a white person, black people would be out there looting and stealing. Keep in mind, this is the majority of the people who make up his subscribers. They are getting rich off of basically coming out against the black community in everything. Are there problems in the community? Absolutely. But this man is making a ton of money by expressing his disdain for black people, even when it's in support of black people. May he rest in peace. He kept hitting her. He was going to stop. He wasn't going to stop. I believe that. He was not going to stop. They want us to hate each other too. Yep. And Mammy of the Year, he told you. It makes me upset black women can't speak up for themselves. The BC deemed black women as the aggressors when we use our voice. Yeah, if you notice, black man can't imprison or imprison women the way that white people did us during slavery. So they have to go about it their own way, in which they condemn and mistreat us. When you look at the way black men operate, the way they speak about us, there is a huge level of hatred there that I have not seen outside of when we talk about, white supremacy and racism from white people. Black men really don't like us. And I would actually say it's hatred. And until we wrap our heads around that and come to terms with that, we're going to just continue to, die off. The black women that aren't listening, the black women who don't want to listen and take their words to heart and do something about it, we're going to just end up dying off. There is a menosphere channel out there trying to shut channels down like Sanji and others. He got one male podcaster channel down that exposed him because he is a lawyer. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. The biracial dude. The black community celebrates degeneracy in black men that attacks their foundation of beliefs. Yep. I've had to put together my own plan of action of toning down the rap music to hopefully get rid of it completely. Not advocating for the community as a whole, but only specifically black men and black children. making sure that I stay read up on the issues that are impacting Black women. And this is why I'm about to, get more involved in addressing Black femicide and hopefully creating an organization that does more to highlight these issues so that we can now work on the mentality and the self-esteem of Black women. That's what it comes down to, because you have to look at the individual. Why do y'all allow them to do that? And it's because Black women don't have self-esteem. Who is the Naker who's mad about this case's outcome? ABL, AnthonyBrianLogan, almost at 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Fund the police. I agree. Most Black women are still in denial as to how little Black men care. They don't care about us. We need to be pro Jim Crow laws. Is it that severe? And our Black daughters need our worry more. They are not the perpetrators. I agree. I think there needs to be more spaces for Black women and Black girls. And when I say Black women and Black girls, product of a Black man and a Black woman. I understand that at some point down through history, we're going to hit a white person or a non-Black person. I understand that. But I think it's very important that when we start talking about this, we also talk about the identity politics. Because when I look at the Black women and Black girls who are being trafficked, when I look at the Black women and girls who are being targeted, who are being, AR'd, they are the products of a Black man and a Black woman. And the ones who get help, like Centoya Brown, those are the mixed race women. We need to do more for Black women and Black girls. Her boy defended her instead of letting a Black man beat her down, which is the Black menosphere, wet dream beating and demanding Black women. The thing that gets me is this: if Black lives matter when they matter every day, all day, it should be a national incident when a police hurts a Black person, but okay for violence within our community. Exactly. We have to start addressing the issues as as much as we address them when it's a white cop. And I'm actually tired of that as well. I'm not sure who he is, but he sounds like the man. He is. He is. A lot of those conservative black men are actually menosphere men. They maybe not, they won't be as animated and as vulgar as maybe an Anton Daniels or the Lapeef Network, but they let it slip every now and then that they are connected to those content creators. They're just not going to go about it that way because they understand there is a certain image they have to uphold, especially if they're going to try to be amongst white people. Evil Black men are everywhere, victimized, killing people in society, not just in Blackistan, and people are tired of Black women. Y'all need to please take accountability and stop birthing and worshiping them. I'm glad I don't have a Black son. This is crazy. Legislation needs to be passed for hate crimes against Black women. We tried. It's very, excuse me, it is very hard to even get somebody to pick that up because you always get into the identity politics of it. Who's a Black woman? Who's this for? Right? If I were to find somebody and I say, hey, this is for heterosexual, no, skip that part. This is just for Black women, product of a Black man, Black woman. We would run into any identity politics, right? Because people would try to lash on other issues so that issue could get more public attention. And for the most part, a heterosexual Black woman, you're like a odd being nowadays. It's crazy. They're trying to lump sexuality, sexual politics, um, LGBT issues on to all Black issues. That way, whatever Black people accomplish, LGBTQ plus will have no problem accomplishing it either, because they're going to put that on the back burner. They're putting Black issues on the same wavelength as gender politics and LGBTQ issues. I've been seeing that for quite a while now, and I'm actually getting tired of it, because while we may have a few people that are in that or that group, they should not be dictating what happens to us as a whole based on racism. Black men are the colorists, white supremacists. Yep. They didn't get mad when we date outside our race. Yeah, it really isn't their business when we do that. Yes, space for fully black women. They said they'll only protect their family. That's what these young men did. That's what this young man did. So the real issue here is they're mad he unalived the black man behind the black woman. Yep, that is the key. They do not believe that he should have been involved in that whatsoever. They don't ever believe that a black man should lose his life. That's really ABL's problem. And I'm gonna get to that video right now because I know it's a work night for most of us, and I don't want to keep us too long, but I do want to address some of these comments. Black women care about black LGBT and trans rights than our own black women rights and the other issues and medical issues. I hope she and her son come on and change the narrative and be successful. I hope they do as well. I also hope that they look at the bloggers and the newscasters who did these stories and put out misinformation, because who's to say that they wouldn't have been out sooner? He was a Kevin Samuels promoter. Yep, he probably was. I wasn't looking at him at that time, but somebody came and commented under my post and said, "Hey, it's somebody out there that's just speaking wrong on the situation." I was just like, "Who?" And then sure enough, I went over and he doesn't sound like a guy that really knows what he's talking about. He does that Pearl thing where they use personal past situations that they've had with certain people as reasoning as to why certain things are the way that they are. So he reflects using his personal past instead of actually using facts. And because that does so well with his audience, which is full of ignorant people, right? Because racism is ignorance, he's able to get away with it. JW, I won't be shocked if he has a Chris Brown like Ike Turner supporter. Yep. Jenny B, the army of super gremlins with a demonic hive mind. They are made one of theirs were mad there one of theirs were killed. Mammies are working overtime. Yep. Because of the menosphere, black male worship of black femicide is willing to participate in cult movement in Blackistan. Sadly, that is true. I disagree. It was wrong to attack anybody, but you don't know who the guy was affiliated with. But now who will protect him? This show is silly. What is silly about that? I disagree. It was wrong to attack anybody. The man who is now dead, he attacked that woman. That woman does not have the man strength. You know what? I thought you were just a troll and you weren't going to be of use here, but you just gave me another point that I didn't think of. How often are black women told that we're masculine, we have masculine strength, but yet you had a woman who was being beat by a man and we saw that she couldn't even physically defend herself. So much for that narrative, huh? Yeah, thank you so much. Where did that comment go? LBMS67. Yes, we saw a woman, a black woman being beat, and I thought we had masculine strength. I thought we can put up with the black man. In that video, we saw that black woman did not have that black strength because men and women are physically different. Men have a physical strength that most black women, all women, I would say, do not have. And she could not defend herself. That's why she needed the assistance of a man, which was her son, who came in with additional assistance and with a gun. So for you to even be in this chat saying that, saying what you said, making that comment, you just sound ridiculous. But I'm happy you came here. Understand this: women and men do not have the same level of physical strength, and that is what that video showed. That man hit her 3 times. Did you at any time see her able to even hit him back? You know why she couldn't hit him back? Because she's not a man; she's a woman. That's why she needed the assistance of a man. This is the best time with femicide. So hi. What is that comment towards? This is why brainstorming is crucial with black women in general, using stats and data to keep pushing legislation. I agree. This would be a good time for us to get together and say, hey, this is why we need legislation for black femicide. That Anthony dude uses word salad and correct stats and make up stuff to get his points across. I believe he does as well. He could have beat her to death. Exactly. He could have beat her to death if it wasn't for her son. That could have been life or death for that. I hate when people reduce things to just nothing. Mammies, pygmies, and degenerates reduce anything to nothing. Women, children, and other men, it don't matter. These people value nothing but image. I absolutely agree. And to be honest, I think that video is going to be a very good example in the future of why not only Black women should consider carrying, getting their conceal and carry, but also understanding that physically men and women are different. I don't possess the strength of a man, right? And that video showed that. She was I couldn't really get a good one on. If you stop the frame before that you hear the bullet, you will see that she was like trying to protect her face. So she didn't have the strength. But according to ABL, that woman didn't need assistance, and that she sicked her son on him. I'm gonna show you the video that ABL uploaded, and then I'm gonna try my best to get this wrapped up because I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let's see, all charges dropped against mother, and let's see what ABL had to say.
Stuff like this happens all the time in the community, in the Black community. I'm gonna say it. This is why a lot of us who grew up in the community leave, because we don't have time to even be dealing with this stuff. Okay, I'm not trying to be in this restaurant at night at all in the hood, because I know I'm going to see things like this. I'm going to see this brainless moron of the dude try to punch on this woman, and I'm going to see the woman egg it on because she knows that she could delete him and get away with it. That's what I saw. And again, if it was just between the two of them, the woman and the guy, they get into a fight, he hits her, she shoots him, whatever. My issue is with the boy. I don't care about the guy that died or the mom. If either one of them get deleted in their fight, then so be it. Because they should not be having a debate or discussion anyway. But if you're going to do something like that as adults, then go ahead, knock yourself out. Why you got to bring the 14-year-old into it? When the boy was in the doorway with the gun, he had his hands in his hoodie. He's fumbling with the gun. He does not want to use the gun. But his mom is texting him, allegedly, hey, I got a problem. Get the gat. Come up here. And then talking about some killed up. You know what? They talk about gun laws and what, like in Chicago, right? They say, oh, well, we got to have tougher gun laws. But what's the point in having these tough gun laws when they don't get followed? You enable the criminals, let them do whatever they want. You got a very low clearance rate in the community, 25% in Chicago, okay, which means 3 out of every 4 murders unsolved. You got that going on. But I'm told that, oh, the guns are the problem, get the guns off the street. Huh? Well, maybe if the law was actually enforced, maybe if you got the criminals off the street, you know what? I'm going to say this. Neither the mother or the boy had a criminal record before this. But how do we know that they're not involved with crime? You got a 25% clearance rate in the community. How do we know that people without criminal records are not out here doing things? And the ones that do have criminal records probably have an extensive criminal record, and they are probably committing the majority of the crimes, but because they get slaps on the wrist at best, there's no penalty. So what's the point of even having these laws if they're not going to be enforced, if nobody's going to follow them? All you're going to do is just punish the law-abiding citizen who's going to be the dope here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to be a good guy. I'm going to follow the law. You follow the law for no real reason, because if you don't follow it, then you won't get punished. This whole thing is crazy. Again, the guy that died, oh, well, he did that to himself. The woman was in the wrong because she egged it on. She fed into this dude that was violent, fed into his nonsense, and got her son involved. If she wants to feed into it, if she wants to fight, if she wants to get punched in the face, if she wants to use her gun, then let the courts handle it. Let's see who was right or wrong in a situation. Let's see if it was self-defense mutual combat, if she was the aggressor, if he was the aggressor, or whatever the case may be. But why must you involve these 14-year-old boys? And you know what? I feel passionately about it because I've seen this a lot growing up. I've seen it. I know guys that have been in a situation like this before. Okay. Their mom calling them, hey, X, Y, and Z did something to me. And then the boy goes out there, crashes out, and dies at age 14, 15, 16, going to the penitentiary at the same age. Okay. Growing up in the penitentiary. It's so many guys like this and nobody really cares. Oh, protect mama, ABL, protect the women. Okay. Well, when the woman's out here doing wrong, when the woman is doing things she shouldn't be doing, putting herself in danger, putting herself in harm's way, and then she wants you and you and you and you to come through and clean up her mess, and then you and you and you get deleted. Who cares, right? Black on black violence, right? So what? Who's going to speak up for these boys that are getting deleted for no reason at the hands of their mothers? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here? All charges dropped against the mother and the son in the Southside Chicago shooting. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is really incompetence in my humble opinion. Okay, do we have gun laws? Do we have any kind of laws that prevent minors from being involved in adult matters? I mean, do we have these laws on the books? If we do, I can't tell. I cannot tell. It appears as if the criminals are getting all types of passes. They get free rides while the law-abiding citizen is a sucker. He follows the law and doesn't get rewarded. He often gets punished, but the criminal gets rewarded. No punishment. Again, I don't care about the guy who died. He did it to himself. So what? That's on him. It's not even about him. It's not about defending him. It's about that 14-year-old boy who should not have been involved in a situation, period. And if the mom really loved that boy, if she really loved that boy, she would have de-escalated and stopped and not been texting and talking about, hey, come on out here and defend mama. If you hate your children, you will put them in harm's way. Your job is to protect your kids, not to use them as your personal security system or attack dog. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Yeah, he hates black women. That's the only thing that you conclude. Initially, he started off by saying that this happens in the hood, in the black community. So we know that he was specifically talking about black women and black men. But then he went back to single mothers. Black men are typically talking about black women, but they'll go to that single mothers as a way to make it seem as though that they're not pointing a finger at black women, but they are. He then went on to the narrative of, well, black women, we don't know if they had done something in the past because people in Chicago are getting slaps on the wrist. That may be true, but I think it's fair to assume that people who go the route of getting their license and carrying it and having no history of being in trouble with the law, it's fair to assume that they're law-abiding citizens. And then he goes on to say, well, I don't really care much about this dude that was killed. I care about the 14-year-old. If you care about the 14-year-old, part of the 14-year-old is having a mother who's providing for him. So if you say you care about the 14-year-old, you have to care about the mother who's the caregiver, right? But he doesn't care about the caregiver because we know that because of how he goes on to say, she used him as an attack dog. She told him, this is how they get killed. This is how they get killed. Sir, people get killed because criminals commit criminal activity. When people get killed is because someone has decided to kill them. Why are you putting the onus? He put the onus of that entire situation on the mother. He blamed her for being a woman. He blamed her for being a black woman who was out getting her and her child some food that night. That is her problem. And he doesn't say that completely, but that is what he means. He said she shouldn't have been out. She shouldn't have been at that restaurant in Chicago, right? And she shouldn't have not. She said he said she egged it on. If somebody talking to you crazy and you still got to get your stuff, what are you supposed to do? Just leave without your money, leave without your food? Black men don't like taking responsibility for each other. They don't like they damn sure don't like taking responsibility for themselves. This fool has even gone on to Twitter and he's preaching the same message over on Twitter. Let me show y'all this before I end the stream. That he's saying online. That woman used her 14-year-old boy as an attack dog and personal security. This happens so much in the black community because for some reason we celebrate it. When the black kid dies or gets locked up, nobody cares. It's dismissed as black on black violence. But wasn't the dude just preaching about how black on black crime exists, but black on black violence doesn't? Am I messed up there or is it him? Why are you not saying anything about the man's behavior? My best friend ended up getting killed trying to protect his mama's honor. Charges have been dropped. I watched the video of the man beating her. He wasn't letting up. I'm not sure when the son shot him, but it's possible within the law. What about the dude's behavior? Laugh out loud. Blacks need to stop saying black culture is good. Original black culture was one of family, faith, endurance. Not swear words and rap music, pants down over hips, like in prisons, not trashing over other things and violence. I say parents pay for the damage, but family is gone. It's not black on black violence when he kills for himself, but he kills for the black woman. It's called self-defense. As a mother, you protect your children. You will always stand in front of them. You do not use them like that. That's not a mother. That is a heartless monster. A mother tries everything so no harm can come to her children, and everything so they do not harm themselves or others. And this comment, I agree. Unbelievable. You vilify this black woman solely because she is black. Absolutely. Very common. Yet you say nothing about the black man that was beating her, nor the other black man who swatched but did not help. The hatred runs deep, but it's good to know who is who. I agree. Black men will no longer contain their hatred for black women. They're putting it on public display. Black women, how are we going to respond? At this point, the ball is in your court. What black men don't want to see is black women taking the side of, hey, I'm no longer my brother's keeper. I can no longer do anything for the black community, specifically black men, because I see that the black man wants to eradicate me. I go back to that video that I did a couple months back on Anton Daniels when he said we need to throw out the woman and the baby in the bathwater, get a whole nother group of women and start that way. And I asked my subscribers, do you think that he was talking about genocide? And the majority of you said yes, because the only way you can start the community over with a whole new group of women is if you get a whole new group of women. And in order for us to no longer be there to match that, we would have to be dead. So black men have been advocating and talking about genocide and advocating for us to go to jail or be dead. And the reality is this: black women don't take it serious. But I hope the black women who have been paying attention to people like AnthonyBrianLogan and all the other black conservatives who said that that was her fault. I hope you guys have been paying attention. I hope that we are now moving forward and understanding that we got to do something as a community, as black women, to contradict the narrative that's being put out by us. And that troll that came here, they actually gave me a bit of relief in looking at that video and coming to terms with the reason why Carlisha couldn't defend herself against that man, because he was a man. She didn't have the man strength, right? And because she didn't have that man masculinity that's often put on the black woman, she needed help from a black man who came in the form of her black son. And instead of us as a community saying, this is not a narrative. This is not a statement that I no longer want to uphold, which is that I got masculine strength, that I'm a masculine woman. We should be coming together as a community to say, yeah, we need to do certain things to protect ourselves, get our carry and conceal license and get a gun. But instead of that, we're having to bicker and argue back and forth because black men just simply don't want to protect. Like, I don't think that Anthony Paul Logan could have been any more clear in his disdain for black women. And I hope that as a community, we see that something has to be done, because he's not the only black man on YouTube that's putting out content like this and saying that she didn't need protecting. Ultimately, we could be here today and she could be one of my femicide stories if it had not been for her son. And I hope that black women understand that, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I am a black woman and I do want black women to be safe. I think the reason why we face so many issues is because we've been the most vulnerable of all groups of women and even men, of all groups, of all groups. And because there is very little we can do in terms of, you know, certain things, we're the most taken advantage of. But I hope that black women don't lose sight that, we can be a force as long as we stick together, and that black men won't be on that, on the same page as us, because they actually benefit more from our downfall than our rising up against anything that has come out against us. And until we find value in ourselves, we may continue to see, more black women fall prey and be, the next RIP on my channel. I want to thank you guys for coming here with me tonight. I'm going to read the last few statements that y'all left, and then I'm going to let y'all go. The Velasquez kid said, we have to pray and fast. This battle we are up against is nothing new. The enemy has been at our heels from the beginning. This is spiritual. Why are we the original womb bearers? We birth life. God will deal with black men for the treatment and hate of black women. I hope he does. Black women, get your permits. You see what can stop them dead in their tracks. Trust, I was afraid initially, but I'm over it now, and go to the gun range. We must pray and fast. 12 a.m. is a wartime for us. Why did that comment disappear? We must pray 3 a.m. for us to pray in the spirit. 3 a.m. to receive Yahweh messages and downloads that we need to strategically move. 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. we need to be praying for our families and our businesses and how to move during these times. That's right. Yes, black, we are good. Okay, we are God. We need to protect and save ourselves from our wombs. How about that? We are the only ones that can save ourselves. Take accountability, black women. Sisters, act too ditzy about how black brothers really are nowadays. Sadly, yeah, we can't afford to be that way anymore. We can't be like, but black man? Are you sure? Are you serious? No, yeah, we sure, we serious. If you go back to that, if you want to go look at that AnthonyBrianLogan video that he did a couple days yesterday on this situation, as well as look at the full video that he did today, you will see that he is very serious. So are his subscribers. They don't like black women. They also don't like black men, but they'll tolerate the black people who are on the same page with them. And then you tell me if I'm serious. I am very serious. I'm at the point of where I think black people need to do a somewhat what do you say, de-integration from white society. I think that when you look at the way black men were moving, and this is my thought process, I believe this is the way it happened. You had the rise of interracial people who wanted to create interracially, and so they just tagged along with the black issues. The moment miscegenation laws got tore down, that's when you seen the rise in biracial is black. Now, the reason why I say that is because that group of people, which is different groups from different races, wanted to be together, Black women were forced to be in certain situations that we didn't want to be in. If you really look back at it, Black women, we wanted jobs, we wanted safety, but did we really care about being as integrated in white society as Black men? No. We cared about jobs, we cared about our family, and for the most part, that's what I care about. I care about my job, I care about my family, I care about Black women. But I also understand that white society is only going to let you benefit from them to a certain extent. And I'm actually tired of the conflict. And I said all that to say is that Black men like Anthony Paul Logan, they want to be a part of white society. They want to participate in white supremacy. And they really don't give a damn about who gets hurt in the process. And Black women have never been a part of being a recipient of the fruits of integration. It has never been about us. It has always been about Black men. And I stand firmly in that. Integration was meant to benefit interracial daters the most because those were the biggest pushers of it. There is a content creator who has stats indicating that race of men who are victimizing Black women. Who is that? They need to decolonize. They have stock syndrome. Probably do. Probably do. We need to separate ourselves from worshiping Black men and Black sin. We need to worship ourselves. We need to get some therapy. We need to do the work that's needed to be done so that the next generation of Black girls and Black women don't have these problems. And that's really my mission on this channel. Fix you so the next generation of Black women and girls don't have to fix themselves from having to deal with us. And on that note, thank you all for tuning in. If you, like I said, if you don't believe that ABL was that bad, maybe the video from yesterday that he did on this situation will convince you. But these Black menosphere YouTubers and conservative YouTubers who are also menospheres, they need to be stopped. And some good defamation of character lawsuits will stop them in their tracks. Get in the comment section. Y'all can always leave me some comments. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a good night.